Danke. Dankeschön. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, we move on to the next point, which is the report of the Secretary General, Roberto Montella. Please, Roberto, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President, dear members of the Standing Committee. I've distributed the report. I think it's already on your table, so I will not go too much into the details of the report. I will highlight a few aspects of it. But let me start, like everybody else has done, by thanking our hosts, the Andorra Parliament. This is not a formal thank you. Normally, at the beginning or at the end of these meetings, we thank our hosts. But this time, you've done really an extraordinary job in also coping with the difficult situation that we had yesterday with the blockade in Barcelona. You've managed to fly people to Toulouse and then bus them here. So a warm thank you to you, because you have really gone beyond the hospitality, but really making an extra effort. Thank you very much. And again, a warm thank you to our Belarusian host of the annual session in Minsk. I start by thanking delegations who have hosted events, because this is one of the points you have seen in my report. I've also put an annex list. Finding places where to host our event is one of our priorities, especially for me as Secretary General of this organization. We need to secure locations to have our meetings. We are okay until 2019, but from September 2019, we have to find volunteers who will host our annual session and our autumn meeting. I know it's a great ask from some countries. Some countries have hosted twice the events, but I hope that in the months to come, some of you will come forward. We are not like the Council of Europe, who has an hemicycle and they host their meetings there. We count on parliaments and on delegations to host our events to be still in business. So take that list that I've annexed to the report with you, do some reflection, and we will approach some of you in the months to come. Now, the good news is that the OSCE is back in business. You've seen today the report from the ODIHR director. Last time we met in Minsk, we had 4 empty chairs. Immediately after that meeting with the president, we attended an informal meeting in Mauerbach, where the chairman in office and the foreign ministers found finally consensus on appointing the 4 heads of the OSCE institutions. We now have partners with which we can work. We have a new Secretary General with whom I've already met. We've had excellent discussions. We've had, of course, an excellent discussion with the ODIHR director. I've also met the new head of the freedom of the media and the new High Commissioner for National Minorities, the former Secretary General Roberto Montella. With them, of course, we have established very good cooperation and very good personal contacts. One thing I've always underlined is that this cooperation is now beyond the simple cordiality or friendship that we can have with the other OSCE institutions. We have to have a cooperation focused on what is the purpose of this cooperation. And the focus is always on the end users of this OSCE product, the people of the OSCE countries. So our cooperation is not a simple cordiality and exchange of good educational niceties. I think this is news also because in the past this was not the case, but I think now we are in a moment where we need to move beyond that and focus on what we can deliver through this cooperation. So a cooperation based on the end users. The Secretary General normally should report on the status of the Parliamentary Assembly, on its Secretariat. I can say that both on the political front and on the internal administrative front, we are in great shape. On the political front, I'm happy to say that we are on target on all the main issues of the political agenda. On migration, we have established a committee last year. You have heard from the report we have a lot of activities. I would like to commend President Lombardi for his activity, but all the members of the committee, because they've been on the ground, they've met the people, they've come up with an excellent report which will be, I think, officially presented at the end of this meeting and distributed to all the foreign ministers and speakers of parliament on Monday with a letter from the president of the committee. So thank you very much for the work of the Migration Committee. I would like to thank also the Standing Committee for establishing in Minsk a committee on the fight against terrorism and for appointing Mikis Voridis to head this committee. We will try to follow the path of the Migration Committee in terms of the activities that they have established. They had a first meeting yesterday, and you've heard from Mr. Kovalov the outcome of this meeting today. I would also like to thank Mr. Kovalov for his activity as a special representative on the anti-terrorism before. He has given up that position. He's now a deputy of the Committee on Terrorism, but as he said, there is a great spirit of cooperation within the members of the committee, and we hope that this committee will also, beside dealing, of course, with the issue of terrorism, will also create a kind of special atmosphere within the members, because there are members, of course, who have different opinions on other agendas of the OSCE. So it will be also a test of kind of confidence-building measures between members of the committee. On the Mediterranean, we have appointed a new special representative, and we are present there. We are present also with a strong cooperation with the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. We heard yesterday from the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean. We will have an important meeting in Valletta with the PAM, and this is the occasion for us to contribute to the UN Global Compact. Lajčák, the President of the UN General Assembly, will be present in Valletta and will collect the work of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly together with the work of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, and those two dossiers, those contributions will be part of the contribution of the parliamentary dimension to the UN Global Compact on migration. On Central and Eastern Europe, Kent Ashton has been appointed. I would like to thank you for your work in Belarus, and now your portfolio extends also to Ukraine and to Moldova, as Artadad has left us. We wish you well, Kent, and we hope that we will soon start developing a number of activities with you. On South Caucasus, we've had the numerous meetings these days. I would like to spend a special work of thanks to the activity of Christian Vigenin. He was there with Andreas Baker, both in Baku, in Yerevan, and in Georgia. It was a very difficult visit because the idea of this visit was to go beyond the normal institutional or, let's say, protocolar meetings. We normally meet presidents, prime ministers, foreign ministers, delegations of the OSCE PA. This time we decided to also go more in depth and meet communities and people affected by these problems. Of course, while doing so, you always touch a lot of sensitivities. Some sensitivities have been touched. I will not leave it as a secret here. We are working on that, but I would also like to thank the spirit with which the Assembly and the Special Representative have tried to deal with this issue, which was really an intention to go beyond the simple institutional approach, but also to talk directly to the people affected by the conflicts. Roberto Montella on Southeast Europe is probably the highest authority in Southeast Europe of the international community, and we thank you for the visits that you did even before the annual session. I didn't talk about it in Minsk. On elections, you've heard today from the new ODIHR director. We are going to have elections in Kyrgyzstan. I would like to thank Gigi Tsereteli and Isabel Santos and all of those who were for the first time in Germany observing the elections. Many people have asked, how come we're going to Germany? The reason why we went to Germany is the same reason why we go to the UK, why we go to the US. There are no countries who can spare an OSCE observation mission. The election observation is an activity that can take place in all the 57 countries, or 56 countries in one. We're probably not allowed to observe, but in all the 56 countries of the OSCE, we have no double standards. Of course, we have limited resources, and we try to observe elections where we think it's important to go. The election cooperation with the ODIHR is excellent. You've heard it today from the director. We intend to continue these meetings with Secretary Generals also of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, of the European Parliament, and of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, together with the ODIHR, to reinforce also our internal dynamics and the way we organize election observations on the ground. On the internal front of the International Secretariat, the Standing Committee in Minsk adopted a new set of rules, financial rules and regulations. We were already abiding those rules before, but now they are in force since the 1st of October. Since the 1st of October, we've also hired a new Chief of Administration and Fund, who is the person who will be in charge of overseeing this rule and ensure that we strictly adhere to the rules that the Assembly has given itself. It's rules that allow also for the necessary flexibility. We are a small organization, we are a small secretariat, but it brings in more transparency, more accountability, and it helps us manage better the resources that you are giving to us. In conclusion, Madam President, I would like to say just a warm word of thanks to the members. I really enjoy, and probably this is part of the job that I enjoy the most, is the personal rapport that I've built with many of you. So thank you very much for showing me personal sympathies, but also for coming to me with your concerns, with your ideas, with problems or things that you would like us to implement in the Secretariat. I'm very forthcoming and welcoming you coming to me directly. Of course, all of this work is not possible without the work of the International Secretariat and its staff, and here I thank all my colleagues of the staff for the great work that they do, and I think they deserve a round of applause. And in Minsk, you remember we had a moment when we also thanked some of the members or secretaries of delegations who have spent at least 25 years in the Assembly. In Minsk, our dear friend from Cyprus, was not present, so I would like you to come here, and we will have a moment to thank you for 25 years in the Assembly, and then I will have one more remark to conclude, please. And with that, of course, I would like to thank all the secretaries of delegations for the work they do for our Assembly. Very often we count on their help, as we are a small secretariat, also to carry out some of the functions that we need to carry out. So thank you very much to all the secretaries of delegations. And of course, thank you to all the interpreters who have worked during these days and always support us in these meetings. And in conclusion, Madam President, I would like to thank you personally for your engagement in our Assembly. You have, in the last month, been extremely active, although you have an important election appointment back at home. But I would like to thank you for your commitment and for putting a lot of effort also in this very heated moment of the campaign. So thank you very much for your personal appointment, and we look forward to working with you in the second part of your term. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, that's the time of saying thank you. I want to thank you, Roberto, for your work, but I also want to thank the staff of the bureaus, the one in Vienna and the one in Copenhagen, for their work. So, any comments and questions?